of the journey of Emma's chronic illness. So we talked about my childhood, and we talked about up until the start of this year in terms of my stomach and my mental state. There's a whole lot of other stuff that had been going on that I think I really had been brushing aside or trying not to acknowledge because I had been brushed aside so many times. And here we'll just talk about a few of those. Well, for starters, my headaches got worse. In part one, I talked about up until when I had my first migraine. So then I had like one migraine that year, and then the next year I had like two. The next year I had like five, and over time, I just popped my elbow. Now I'm at a place where every headache is a migraine, and it's really hard. Nausea, light sensitivity, motion sensitivity, sound sensitivity. It's like pressure behind my eyes and just like claw them out. Things that had been going on for as long as I can remember. Just kind of having like weak joints, I guess. So weak ankles. I was always rolling them and spraining them, and I would really easily like pull a muscle, or just I felt like I was getting hurt a lot, and I had bruises popping up everywhere, and I was like, I don't really understand why I'm having so many bruises, because like what the hell is happening? I'm not really doing anything. Then fatigue would kick in, and dizziness, bending over and standing up, that became really hard. I would get really dizzy. I fainted 3 times. Twice I think were because they were stomach pain episodes, and I think it was that the pain was so bad that I just passed out. But I could be wrong. And the last time I was getting over the flu, and I just passed out on the kitchen floor. That was fun. Yeah, so feeling faint and lightheadedness. I had aches in places. I would just, like the ankles, I would just get achy a lot. When I got my period, I was 13, so that was 2012. And it was okay at first. Well, I mean, it's a period, so it's not fun, but but then the cramps kicked in, and it just, they were awful. And that again progressed and progressed and kept progressing until it was, it was so bad that I would, well, first off, they were irregular as all heck. I would have a 40-day cycle, and then a normal cycle, and then like a 15-day cycle, and it was just like my hormones weren't doing what they were supposed to do. And the cramps, the nausea, and the back pain, and just, they're seriously freaking like contractions, or what I imagine contractions must be like. I feel like I've got a little taste of that. So it got to the point where I couldn't get out of bed for the first 2 or 3 days because it would just be so painful, and it was wreaking havoc with my digestive system, and it was just so bad. Now, I have a family history of endometriosis. Actually it's from my mom's side, but it's from both of her parents' sides. So my grandma had an emergency hysterectomy during a tissue cleanup surgery. It was too bad. They couldn't do what they had originally planned to do, and they just had to do a hysterectomy. And then my mom had what was likely a bout of it. I started seeing a gynecologist, and I got started on a birth control pill, which was a lifesaver. I don't remember when I went on that. I want to say 2014 or 2015, maybe 2015. I think 2015. That has just been massively important. And in 2017, my hormones went all whack again after working like perfectly for like 2 years, consistently every single cycle. Then it just was like, nope. And I just started having, you know, bleeding all month or like a cycle and then 2 days off and then it would come back again and the cramps were bad and it was just all the time. So I switched onto a new pill, which threw things off and made things worse, I believe. So then I started on a progesterone only pill, which I was on until mid last year, when I went in for a check, like a follow-up or something. She was expecting that I was doing really awful because one of the psychiatric medications I was on apparently is really bad with progesterone only pills. Which I think is because the medication was estrogen producing. So it would like prevent the production of estrogen, so then I was like only having the progesterone. But I was doing okay. So now this last one I've been on has worked pretty well. So there's that. In 2016, I had tendonitis in my arm, which kind of came out of nowhere. And it just, you know, it just hurt so much. Let's see. Shortness of breath. When I would take showers, my legs would turn like super red and splotchy, and my stomach too. And then, you know, the most recent stuff is my heart rate goes crazy. I hit 188 a couple days ago, which I'm like, not supposed to happen. Literally, I was just trying to get out the door to go to a therapy appointment. The feeling faint, lightheaded, the fatigue is just intense. Good times. Words. What am I trying to say? Weakness. Not being able to walk very much, which is partially because of the heart rate going up and that making me like really not feel well, but just my body just doesn't have it in it to, you know, do that kind of thing. And then the joint pain has been getting worse and worse. I always felt like I didn't get taken seriously about injuries that felt huge to me, and nothing ever would show up on x-rays or tests or any of that, so it was irrelevant. There was a couple times where I had stomach stuff going on that was very different and much harder to deal with than my normal, and I went into the ER, I believe, and totally got brushed off because they told me it was just a stomach bug. But, you know, I've had stomach bugs and I've had chronic stomach problems for the last 6 years, and I'm living in this body and living in this body every day, and I know what it feels like, and I know when it's different. So, you know, there's lots of like things that this is not stomach related. There's lots of things about my body that in the last 6 months I have learned are not actually normal, because I was so led to believe that nothing could possibly be wrong, that it was normal to be able to, you know, pop your joints and dislocate your hip and, you know, I can't do it with my wrist, so I'm like, touch your thumb and like pinky back and like, these are things that aren't, they're not supposed to be happening. I knew it. It didn't, but like, yeah. Let's see if I'm missing anything. I've got a lot of tremors and muscle spasms, which could be medication related. Not sure on that one. Alright, that's everything on here. So, alright. So no, I'm gonna have to make a part 4. I think I'm gonna have to make a part 4. I hope you guys will want to watch this. It's just like, it's really long. I'll label what each part talks about, so then you don't have to watch all of it if you don't want to, but, you know, I'm sure many of you can relate to this. It's a long story. It's a long journey. So, see you in part 4.